Module 1, Previewing Questions. Does the board have a formal education and/or training process? How often does the board assess knowledge and competencies of board members? How does the board address education around new or emerging issues?
Board education is a perennial issue, but now it's more important than ever. Really requires a much more willingness of boards to engage with uncertainty and change, much more willingness to commit time to get educated, to then really kind of be generative about thinking about the implications of these issues relative to the traditional business model of the organization that they're governing and how this impacts the strategic planning process.
Board education has really evolved over the last decade, and there's so many more opportunities today, but there's also so many complex issues. And so whether it's the delivery system or whether it's dealing with payment reform and all the other things boards need to be thinking about, it's quality and understanding what clinical activity is really all about is fundamental to their ability to really govern and lead the organization.
We want every board member who comes into the system understanding what their core competencies, roles, and trustee responsibilities are. We educate around that. 4 times a year, we do education modules where we're talking about quality, innovation, generative questions, and then we do retreats probably 2-3 times a year. So we understand that the education process is a long process, but it's a critical process to having an effective board member.
Having tools to help lay people understand the clinical side of the organization is critically important. So I think one of the important things to do is to get a baseline of where the board knowledge is on clinical quality. And we have a board governance committee, like lots of boards do. We call it the Trustee Organization and Education Committee, and TOE for short. And the focus is to have that group really reaching out to board members on a continuous basis, assessing where folks feel like they need more information. And just last month we did another "Where Are We?" on kind of clinical expertise and understanding on the board level. And so for us, it's that group that tries to keep a pulse on where people are and then identifying then the tools and educational opportunities for people to improve things.
The CEO plays a tremendous role in informing the board and probably holding up the mirror and saying, we don't know enough about this, and I feel we need to provide you, board, some very focused, very specific education in a particular topic, and we're going to do that.
It's very important for board members to receive education about quality. It's not just something that happens in the boardroom, it's something that happens out in the community. And so it's important for the board not only to hear it from the board's perspective, but to get out there in the community and see the diversity of the customers that we are serving.
You can't improve what you don't measure. You can't improve what you don't tell or talk about. And so if board members are going to play an active role, as they do, in thinking about improving care, then they have to understand what the challenges are, but also what works.
Boards also have a responsibility to stay relevant, to stay current. It's something we talk about a lot. How do you do that? Is it through the Trustee magazine publication? Is it through online webinars? Is your state hospital association providing opportunity? I think board members have a responsibility that's incumbent on them to try and stay current enough so that they can ask and say, we don't feel comfortable that we know enough about what's really involved with MACRA, what's really involved with our risk payments that we're considering, our alternative payment models. I think it comes from both sides.
Once you have the tool, it comes back to the will. Are we willing to do this? Are we willing to ask uncomfortable questions? And are willing, that's really what the board is. You're not there to make everybody feel comfortable. You're not there to, focus on team above all else. In this kind of environment, you're really there to be the grain of sand in the oyster, which irritates the organism so it secretes a pearl. All right, so, increasingly boards need to see their role more as critical questioner, loyal dissent, sparring partner, that kind of a thing. And, and then I think they can kind of do what's going to make them feel good, about what they've done in the community and really think that they've made a difference. Self-assessment should be, one tool in the armamentarium that boards use, but there should be others, just something to kind of maintain the momentum and maintain the motivation. And that includes self-assessment, education, patient stories, very powerful.
I encourage you to ask tough questions. Assess where your organization has opportunities to advance the health of your patients and communities, as well as assess where the board has opportunities to advance strong governance practices. Self-assessments, for example, they offer a quick reality check to see where you need to focus your efforts.
Self-assessment tools offer a basic framework or guidepost for leaders. And in fact, I would even call it a playbook. And in this case, boards can use it to evaluate how engaged and effective they are in directing and improving the quality of care provided at their hospital. Taking the time to engage in this activity and assess your current practices, which can be done with a simple yes, no, or room for more improvement, you can stimulate thinking about overall board activities and identify areas where further board education may be needed.
Board education must be ongoing. Please take time to assess your work and review your progress based on strategies outlined in the first video modules shared in 2015. Key takeaways. Boards must be willing to engage with uncertainty and change. Boards should engage in generative thinking. Assess the knowledge of board members and identify areas for needed education. Boards should engage in educational activities that could include hearing from topic experts, reviewing relevant literature or tools, participating in training and engaging in a self-assessment process.